Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. I hope today finds you well. Right, just over there. What's that? A little different view today. How's that? There you go. Good morning. Hope you're doing well this today. Hey, Vicky. Good morning to you. How's everybody today? Hope you're staying warm and it got cool fast. It is proper fall out there. Good morning. Doing well. So just to remind everybody, as we head into the weekend, we're going to this Sunday will be the last opportunity. We're going to do a collection for the walk that I did on Monday for Veterans Day to support our continued our continued support for veteran stuff. So, and particularly for 22 Mohawks and for Wrecking for Veterans and all the work that they're doing. Um, so we'll have an opportunity to give there. And that will wrap that up come this Sunday. So just a reminder about that. So good morning, good morning. Uh, hey Jane, Vicky, I think there's uh, good morning, Jamie. Well, that sounds like a lot there, Vicky. I'm glad you had the opportunity to minister to them. Irene, good morning to you. Hope you're grand. All right. Good morning, everybody. Let's get going. It is the 14th day of November here at 11:11, and I want to share this from from Paul's letter to the Ephesians. This is a bit about God's gifts and how we understand how God's gifts to us. So this is the Apostle Paul. To each one of us, grace has been given as Christ apportioned it. This is why it says, when he ascended on high, he took many captives and gave gifts to his people. What does he ascended mean except that he also descended to the earthly regions? He who descended is the very one who ascended higher than all the heavens in order to fill the whole universe. So Christ himself gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, and teachers to equip his people for works for service, so that the body of Christ may be built up until we all reach unity in the faith and in the knowledge of the Son of God and become mature, attaining to the whole measure and the fullness of Christ. When we will no longer be infants, tossed back and forth by the waves and blown here and there by every wind of teaching and by the cunning and the craftiness of people and their deceitful scheming. Instead, speaking the truth in love, we will grow to become, as every respect, the mature body of him who is the head, that is Christ. From him, the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work. As each part does its work. I just so love that line because it is such as it is with us and the body and what we are made and born to do. This is the reality that I'm a big fan of a number of different personality tests, the Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram, particularly. But what they the reason I like them is because there is this way in which they encapsulate not just the way we were made or just that, but the very energies which we bring. There are particular energies that come with different types. There's a particular way that people move through the world. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, about how we walk. And that this notion that we are a part of this to move and to vibrate and to shine and to sing and to bring our being in with our particular frequency, with our particular function of the body. I I can know more, I should no more expect my liver cells in my in my abdomen to behave the way my eye cells do. And if they do, then we got problems. There's probably a some sort of WebMD thing for that. That when we're healthy when our physical bodies are healthy and well, it's because all of these different pieces, which are radically different, and have radical different functions and have radical different gifts and abilities, are all humming along nicely. Every great dis-ease of the body is just that. It is a function of the body that isn't functioning as it was made and as it was built and as it was being. And that to understand that properly is really to understand that this is what we are called into the world to do, to hum along, to be as we are, not to be other than we are. If we are, yes, we are being made new. Yes, God is is doing a new work through us. Absolutely. But that is much more the product of us becoming a, a better functioning part of the body, or a more robust one, or one that takes on even more ability and more power in our function. And it's not just that we're getting better, but it is that we are really being made new. This is the thing. I know I've said it many times, but the human body replaces itself about every 7 years. That you quite literally are not the person you were 7 years ago, because every cell, every piece of matter that was you 7 years ago has been replaced. Some of them much faster than others. The stomach lining turns over like that. Our bones are about 7 years, from what the scientists tell us, that it takes about 7 years for the matter that makes up your bones to actually cycle through and to become other than it is. Friends, we are being made new, but we are being made new in this way that is about us going from our lowest to our highest, from that he who descended and ascended. I know it's Paul. Gosh, sometimes my favorite quote about Paul is the Apostle Peter, who says, sometimes it's hard to know what the Apostle Paul is talking about. And and this is a little bit that way, but it's this. He's reaching into this. What he's trying to do is illustrate to this church in Ephesus, who are kind of lost, and kind of uncertain and kind of lukewarm in their approach, because they're kind of the steak and lobster crowd. So they're used to a particular lifestyle, and that lifestyle and their pursuit of following Jesus is being threatened. And so they're trying to work. Paul is trying to send them a letter to help them work that out. And so this notion that we descend to be brought up, that we, as the great Richard Rohr talks about in the very title of his book, that we fall upwards. But that all of that comes out of the fact of who and whose we are. And that the worst of this, and this is what Paul is talking about, that the worst of this, the most dangerous of this, is that we withhold that in some ways, that we don't go on the journey. That there's a line from Buddhism which comes that says, there are only two mistakes on the spiritual path. The first is never entering onto it, and this to staying in ignorance. He said the second mistake is thinking that you can go back once you have entered onto it. That once we step into our relationship with Jesus, there's this way in which there really is no going back. There is only forward. Because to go back is to recoil. To go back is to withhold our gifts from God. And that what Paul is encouraging the church in Ephesus, and I think encouraging us to do, is to whatever descending is happening, whatever things are falling down, or whatever things that through the falling down there will be a raising up, and that raising up will get us out of our infantile state and will bring us to that mature state that he's talking about. This way in which we will this beautiful line of just we'll no longer be infants. We'll be about being tossed back and forth by the waves, blown here and there by every wind, and every teaching, and every cunning and craftiness of people and their deceitful schemes. We're in a world full of, no human being has ever had more media access than we do right now. No human being has ever had more ability to be influenced by the every wind in teaching and every cunning and crafting scheme that's out there. Every little thing that somebody, every little thing that some talking head on can whisper to you. But this from the whole body, joined and held together and by every supporting ligament. This word ligament in Latin is actually religio. It is the very basis for the word religion. It is that this way of moving through the world, this way of following in the one who made us, the way of being willing, as he did, to descend into our gnarliness and into the things that break us apart and the things that are struggle, so that we may be raised up, is this very process by which we are, and not to become somebody else, but to become truly who and whose we are, to be made new in that, with all of the beauty and all of the wonder and all of the particular shine that brings us and us alone, that we might truly understand ourselves as the religio of the world, that we in our efforts and in our willingness are holding together the world. And that what that really requires from us, what it really invites us to, is simply this: that we not withhold our gifts, that we not shrink from the invitation to love the world, to love beauty, to love what is true again and again and again, to not recoil from the world, even though it may seem bleak, even though it may seem difficult, even though it may seem lost, but to continue to place our trust in the one who made us, to continue to walk in the way that we've been given, and to simply keep walking it out, understanding that there will be descending, understanding that there will be hard days, understanding that sometimes even in the greatest of workouts, even ligaments shake and are tested. But we are not to withhold our gifts. It's like our liver stopping to decide to filter out impurities, or our eye just making the decision, I'm going to shut and no longer deliver the beauty of the world to the body, or our skin just saying, that's it, I'm done. I'm not gonna be this great barrier between the body and the world. Friends, the world more than ever so desperately needs you to be its religio, to be its ligament that holds it together, to be the one that is willing to descend and ascend, that we may no longer be infants or be tossed around, because that's the gift of it. That's the gift of it. It's not just that we're going to get beat up in it and we just have to be tough, but that we are brought in truth and in truth and love, that we are brought into maturity, that we are brought into this confidence and this ability to follow the one who made us, in Christ Jesus. This quote I found that is by B. Johnson. I'm not quite sure who that is, but it says this, and it's where I want to leave you today. When we withhold our gifts from God, something in us dies. And when we offer all we are and have, something in us comes to life. Friends, more than ever, the world needs us to come to life. More than ever, you need to come to life. More than ever, the joys and the struggles and the encounters of life are not there to simply circle the wagons and hold on to and contract, but they are to spend frivolously and boldly and wildly into the world, so that Christ himself, who gave the apostles, gave the prophets, and gave the evangelists, and gave the pastors, and gave the teachers the equipment for their works, will give you your equipment for your works too. This is the promise of the one who loves you and made you and called you into being, and did not bring you to this point to abandon you, but to bring you to life, and life in abundance. All right, friends, that's my hope for you today. Peace and grace to you. We have a great worship service on Sunday. I hope you'll be a part of it. That you have some goodness and truth in your weekend. So I hope it is Stewardship Sunday, and we'll also be taking a collect for the for 22 Mohawks, the veterans organization we've been supporting over this Ruck March series. So peace and grace to you all, and we'll pick it up next week with another 11:11.